Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. How fast is my network really going? Welcome back to Pushing Technology Limit. Today I want to talk about the NetStress software that I've got running on my computer back here. It's a testing software to see how fast your network really is performing. Is it really reliable? I've got a bunch of tests I've done today, and obviously I have to tell you that there's not much out there to do what you need to do. The software that I even have running on the back of my screen here is really too old for this modern age of networking. It has some things, but it just does not work right. I've tested everything from computer to computer, network to network, switches, routers, the whole 9 yards, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and it's just a whole mess. And you might think, what's wrong? Why doesn't my network have fast enough performance? Well, folks, it's not your network, it's this software. It is just cheap. I mean, the company that put this thing out is Nuts About Nets, or something like that. When I get to my screen, you'll get to see what the actual name of this software is. But, you know, the things that I find with companies is that they'll put out some free software that really does work. And this kind of a catch-22 kind of thing where, you know, they got some good stuff that works, but then they want you to buy some of their paid version stuff, which is okay. But when a company goes and puts out free stuff and it doesn't work worth a hoot, it makes me question that company. Now let me show you my setup that I've got going, because I've got two networks going here. I've got my master network and I've got a test network. And even the test network didn't really work. So let me show you what I've got going on in my control room. We are now down in my control room where we will show you all the stuff that I've tested, and it's not the equipment, folks. So don't think that just because this software doesn't work that it's your networking. Wrong. Let me show you all the equipment that I've been troubleshooting, testing, and doing all sorts of stuff, and I even have a false network set up just to do some more testing. So this is my main network here with that computer and these switches. And this is the master control system for my everything, from computers to televisions to security. It's a managed network, and so it's an advanced business type network. And it should be, you know, processing all the information from that software, and it does, but the software is not working right, so I've had to do another test and set up another network and isolate the computers. Let me show you my false network now. Here is my other, what I call a false network, which I've got two computers isolated. I have a Netgear unmanaged switch, and then I have a Netgear router. So that's the routers right here, and the unmanaged switch is right here. So I isolated two machines off my network with a separate network, basically, is what this is. And this is what your standard setup would look like at home. Is you wouldn't need anything very fancy. What I've got is overkill for all the stuff that I'm doing here. And that's what I first thought, was that my stuff was too much. I was like, is my equipment too advanced? Overkill for this software? And I had to work all day today trying to figure out if it's me or if it's the hardware or what it could be the problem. I've isolated a lot of my equipment because I'll show you what I've got going on here. All the stuff that I've got has more than one network card in it. Now, this software should not have any problems with more than one network card. And actually, when the software comes up and you got more than one network card in your computer, whether it's USB or internal network cards, it asks you which network do you want to use. And it should just work. Here's some of my computers that I've tried that have multiple networks. So these two computers in front are the ones that have multiple network cards, and actually there's another one behind that has a multiple network card. It's a little bit hard to see all this stuff behind here because of all the wires, but this other one that's really jet loud has about, I don't know, probably three or four network cards, and these other computers have USB network cards as well as internal cards. And I know it's a little bit hard to see, like I said, because of all the wires I've got running back here with the computers. And these computers really have just external network cards, except for the built-in network card on the motherboard. And this computer over here has internal network cards for the ones that I've put in. And they're serving a bunch of media and different things like that. And then I also tried these other computers down here that have one network card. And I've tried this one too as well. And none of them, except these two right here, I have not tried because they are other machines doing other things. So I wasn't able to test them with anything. In a few minutes we're going to get to my screens. And there's not really much to show you. I'm going to show you the one computer that I've got somewhat working. So what have I tried? I've used this software on XP Pro, 32-bit and 64-bit on all my equipment. Now, I was trying to figure out between newer and older computers whether it was the brands, the hardware, what it could be. I'm not sure what I was really trying to get after, but for the fact that I was just trying to test to make sure that it wasn't a particular brand system. It's not that. And although that my Asus, if that's how you say it, it's ASUS computer, I couldn't get that to work at all, either going to transmitting or receiving information from it with the virtual computers or not virtual computers. This one computer that you see behind me has a virtual XP as well as a 64-bit XP, and it's somewhat working, but not quite. It's not giving me the full megabits of what's going on now. I'm going to show you that screen with my camera because I don't have recording software on that computer. But the first screen that you'll get is the one that I do have recording software on, and it will be a better picture. So let me get to those screens now and show you what's kind of going on. I'm not saying don't try it. I mean, it's free, but back up your computer no matter what you do, because you don't want to lose your data. You don't want to crash your computer. I recommend getting some kind of backup software. I'm not really going to get into backup software today. It's purely preference, what kind of backup software you want. So let me get to them screens now and show you what's going on. So what I need to do is go to my Start, click on NetStress. Now you could have that on your desktop. Now it's going to ask me whether if I want to use, whatever Ethernet card's connected, whether if I want to use my local or whatever other card I have. So I'm going to click local and then click yes. And because what this is, apply settings from last session. Yes. If you don't have one from last session, then no is okay. I mean, you could click yes, but to me, I've got things set up that I want to keep going here. Now that's somewhat ready. Now I gotta come over to my other computer, go to Start, and click NetStress, get that going. and then I'm going to click yes here, apply settings from last session, and then click OK. So that's half the battle right there of getting this thing set up. Now I do recommend that you keep your NetStress computers in one subnet. Now for me it's virtual, and then I've got my physical. And with my router I can take care of everything. Now it's not the router that's the problem, it's something else with the software, because I've got tons of other things going on in this thing. So what you need to do now is click on the remote receiver IP. So I need to tell it I want that IP from this physical machine. Now I need to come back over to NetStress on the physical host computer and come over to the same box and tell it I want this one. Now if you have two separate individual computers set up that are separate monitors and keyboards and all that, you're going to have to run from computer to computer to set this thing up. But for me, I've just got a virtual environment, and then I got my physical. Now we get to settings. This is where all the happenings, are where you make your test work. For some reason, I got to tell it to go off, and I don't know how long it's going to take it to shut down. But well, let me let's see here. Let me pause this video for a second and wait for it to shut down. Well, I had to shut down my other applications on my other computers to be able to shut this one off. It was reading something, I'm not sure what. Alright, so to set your testing system up here, we're going to go to TCP and UDP settings. Now you can apply the default setting, or you can set other settings here. So what I would do is set your what I did is I set mine to 8 on the TCP and UDP transmission test part. I don't even know what you want to call it, but just these are the things that you want to set here on your computer. Now I click OK, and then I can set the packets per second. I don't know if this really works. Now I've tried it and I've tried it, and every time I look at it, it sets it back to this small setting. But I want to get up to here. Now maybe you'll have better success than I did. I don't know. But I say I want 1 gigabit. And I don't know why it resets it again, but it does. So I just come back up here and then just reset it and click OK. Now if you're going to use this computer as your transmission computer, you really don't need to set your receiving computer with all this stuff. But you do need to come back up here to settings and select data flow, and then you can tell it either uplink or downlink. Now I'm going to tell it uplink for this one on my test virtual machine. Let me see here. I'm going to set the data flow for download, so that's okay. Now I'm going to just set my TCP and UDP settings up just to make sure that they're okay, because we're going to do a reverse thing here. Now see, this one does not work for Windows XP. Now you got to have a newer system for that. But now let's go over to packets, change that to a gigabit, and then let's see here. I gotta kind of move this up a little bit because my screen's a bit small here. Because I wanted to be able to jump back and forth between each computer. So Now we can click start, and then it will start transmitting data to the other computer. But my problem here is now the blue box right here means that this is transmitting. Now this is supposed to tell me what the megabits of everything is. Well, if I come over here and it tells me the 8 streams that I've got, says nothing. Same way when I come over to this computer, absolutely nothing. Now there's nothing I've set up wrong because it's receiving data, because this wouldn't be moving if it wasn't, and absolutely nothing at all, and I don't know why that is. And if I do the opposite of what I was doing here, so if I make this one my transmitter, so I gotta stop it, and then I've got to change my settings. So what I need to do is go back up to data flow and tell down. Then I gotta come back over here to my virtual, and then gotta go to the data flow again and tell it up. It doesn't matter which way I do it, I cannot get it to work. And I just wanted to show you what the problem is that I've been having. And I don't know. Could be kind of I mean, not that there's anything wrong with the machine, but I have found some things with the ASUS, the ASUS, had some kind of quirky issues with some software that I've had to tinker with to get to work. Now, here I still can't get it to register, although that the data is coming in and going out and doing different things. So that is a total bomb. It just does not work. So let me get over to my other computer and show you what is going on with that one, because it is somewhat working but not quite. Now this next one I've got to show you is going to be a little more rough video because I got to do it on my physical screen rather than doing it on a screen recorder. So let me switch over to my camera and we'll keep going. So I'm going to click start here. Now this is my Dell XPS 8000, and my other one was ASUS, or ASUS, however you want to pronounce it. I'm going to click start on this computer here. Now I've got my virtual machine down here running, and you can see that it's receiving, but it's not doing something quite right. And I'm not sure what it is, because this transmitter right here should be registering the megabits right over here. I don't know if you can see that too well or not, but it just says nothing. Absolutely no megabits. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, but some of the things that I've seen with playing with this stuff, one time it worked good, and now it's not. So I don't know what it is. I think it's just a squirrely software. And if I come over to this one right here, my virtual machine, you can see right here that it is actually, running, and it's receiving data, but it's awful. It's saying that I'm only getting for a total of 1.88 megabits down. And then when I come over here to my physical machine, it just says nothing is going up. But when I look at my bandwidth monitor for my network, you'll see that there is data flowing. Let me show you that right now on my screen here. So this tells me that I've got a load of 7 in and 9 out. And then it tells me the kilobytes that I've been using on the network as this test goes out. and comes in. So I know that this application is sending out data, but why on earth down here it doesn't tell you a darn thing what's going on? Now, if you're wondering why I got a bandwidth monitor, is because I wanted to make sure that we were getting things in and out the way we want to, and just keeping track of what the amount of bandwidth we're using and consuming on our switches. So that's all part of management networking, is that you got that flexibility of telling who is doing what and where. But I'm actually measuring the physical interface of my router. So as you can see here, like I said, there's nothing here coming in or going out as it says. But the screen says otherwise. But, you know, I could go on from computer to computer, and I tried all my computers, and nothing is really doing what it ought to be doing. So as far as a reliable and free testing software, I have not found anything that was worth spit. And I can't find anything as either overkill or underkill. It's either not what I'm looking for, or it's under what I'm looking for, and it's not going to do what I need it to do. And this software comes close, but no biscuits. It's absolutely unreliable. You can't tell what it's doing, why it's doing what it's doing. When I've tested about 5 or 10 different machines, both 32-bit and 64-bit, there should be something that works, but doesn't. So I know that my equipment's working all right. Now, if you're asking, why do I want to test my network? Well, I have an advanced feature that I want to test out on my router. Now, if you've been following the zero shell instruction videos that I've been putting up, I have been running across well, I've been doing some tests and running across some information about quality service on your physical network. So you can actually tell a physical computer that you're only going to have so much traffic, so much bandwidth to transfer files to that other computer or that other resource. And this is mainly a business type setup, but I'm using it for my home. And I have cameras and different things that I want to control and limit the bandwidth of how much consumption it can consume on my network. So other than that, I have no help for you as far as a good piece of software. If I find something, I'll let you know. But I don't know. I don't think anybody can come up with anything that's good enough for what I want or for what you want. So if there is some programmer out there in the audience, they should make, and I'm not really telling them what to do, but just an idea, they should make something simple for both home use and enterprise or business type use. Whether you've got something kind of like what I'm doing, I'm using it for a home setup, but it's business equipment to be able to test certain things out. I would like to read the gigabit speed of my network and see how much traffic it's getting through whether it's a gigabit or it's 100 megabits or it's 10 megabits. I want to find out what it's doing, and if there's actually dropping packets or if it's dropping speed. You couldn't really do this on your wireless connection either, the way this software works. It's a piece of junk. So if somebody knows how to design something, and I would be willing to try it to see if it works, but what I need is something that's going to work with new and old equipment. And there's probably a bunch of other people out there that have the same issue, that they've got older operating systems and they got newer operating systems. Well, this NetStress had to have other software installed from Microsoft be able to work. I just want something you just double click the exe file and it installs without having to install network framework and all that other jazz. So I hope that helps you with this software. And if there's something else not working right, I really have no clue for you. But please subscribe to my channel. Thumbs my videos up if you like them. And I'll see you the next time on Pushing Technology to the Limit. Have a great day.